The fucking level cap increase is just like this big, dark, looming cloud over top of BL4 right now. It's coming. It's inevitable. Don't know when, don't know how, but half the items in my bank are quivering in fear of the rapture. How's it going, whippersnappers? It's your boy Big Swaggin' back with another rant video. It's been a minute, but we're here, we out here, and I'm gonna bitch. The little gremlin in my throat that creates my voice exploding aside, this is gonna kind of be like a spiritual part 2 to the anointment video, which depending on who you are, either you're a pretty big fan of or you think I'm a stupid dumb idiot for even comparing the two. Genuinely, I've liked hearing both sides of that kind of argument. My opinion on it hasn't really changed. I do think that there's a lot of similarities, at least in the issues that these systems have and present. But the biggest thing that is relevant from that video is just the insane grind that we currently have in BL4 and how specific roles are incredibly necessary and can be sometimes game-changing depending on the gun, and how that kind of plays into the current endgame and the upcoming level cap, whenever that's gonna happen, and why I've personally been finding that playing BL4 feels like such a waste of time because of this shit. Before getting straight into that though, I do want to preface and just say again, as I've probably said way too many times in all these videos, I do actually like BL4. I think it's a fun game. I'm having fun playing it, but you know, it's kind of hard to make content on this game when there's not really other content to be made other than me sitting here and talking about the things that I think could be better about it right now. Because I know that Gearbox can do better. We've seen them do better, and I know that they can get this game into a better state. They just need people giving them feedback, and so that's what I do hope to do with these videos. I'm not making them to hate on the game. I'm not making them to just get views by farming hate watchers. I generally try to make my feedback as constructive as possible for this reason, to actually have some sort of value other than me just bitching. But this is a rant video. As I do, I kind of just ramble without a script and we see what happens. Along with that, most of my frustration here is kind of just shit that's core to the game, and I don't really know if it's something that's necessarily going to be fixed until we're totally through with level cap increases. Let's actually talk about level cap increases themselves. Anyone who's been around for the launch of a Borderlands game is familiar with these level cap increases. Usually they come alongside some other content like DLC or something, but they do as they say and they increase the level cap. This means more skill points, tougher enemies, higher leveled guns and gear, but what this also means is your previously farmed guns and gear that were at the previous level cap are going to be under leveled. Now Borderlands 3 was the only one that I was actually actively around to experience every single level cap increase all the way from launch. And while it was definitely somewhat frustrating to every single time we have a level cap go through my bank and toss out literally almost every single gun in there, overall I actually had a pretty good opinion of the level cap increases. I fucking love farming. Farming is a huge part of this franchise for me, and it's part of why I love it so much. And in BL3, I thought that farming felt incredibly good and it was fun as hell to do. So while it was annoying to just dump out all those legendaries, it was also kind of nice to feel like I was getting a nice fresh start on my farming. My experience those last couple months farming and experimenting with new and different gear and guns with my builds, finding out what I did and didn't like, it gave me the experience to then go into another level cap and target farm exactly what I thought was going to help me most immediately, or what I just wanted to have most immediately again. Along with that, it was a new opportunity to get even better rolls than I may have had before, because in BL3, you kind of could just roll with a really shit roll and it didn't really matter too much. So maybe there was a gun I wasn't using too much, I didn't really care about having a god roll of, and I just kind of got a couple of them, threw them in my bank after I was done with them, and that was that. Now if I go refarm them, maybe I get something even better. That was kind of the beauty of BL3's farming to me, was that god rolls existed, you could feel the difference between a god roll and a non-god roll, but the difference wasn't that crazy. You could very easily use the single worst variant of a gun to kind of just do anything that the single best variant of the gun could do. There was no requirement to farm beyond your first drop, other than maybe if you're really trying to match element or something. And that's what made me want to farm god rolls for guns that I like, is that the game wasn't forcing me to. It didn't tell me I had to go out and get this exact roll. I had to go get the Spiggly Spoo grip to fucking have my cum guzzler 9000 actually guzzle cum. I could pick up and go, and then after I pick up and went, I could come back and get a significantly better roll of that gun if I so choose. And now there was one little hiccup in launch BL3 that made the level caps really annoying, was anointments. They weren't rerollable until pretty much after all the level caps already hit, so every single level cap we were farming anointments as well as guns. Which does somewhat take away from my point that farming was pretty nice to you, because while farming specific rolls of a gun wasn't necessary, oftentimes depending on your build, farming a specific anointment, while maybe not necessary, it helped a hell of a lot. This is why around that time you would hear a lot of people say that we aren't even really farming guns, we're kind of just farming anointments, and that was somewhat true. I definitely don't want to downplay this aspect because, of course, with hindsight and us now having this reroll, anointments don't feel that bad anymore, but back during that level cap increase, even for someone that was enjoying these level cap increase grinds, the anointments were the one part of it that I really fucking hated. But even gameplay-wise, we had more to do other than just farm in BL3. Even at launch, we had the Proving Grounds and the Circles of Slaughters, which were pretty fun mobbing areas that could get somewhat intense, and was a place that we could go and bring the guns that we farmed to experiment with them, see how they were against mobs, and was just repeatable endgame mobbing content that we could do between farming bosses. Slaughters especially were also a pretty valid way of actually farming world drops because of how high the world drop rates were at the time, even though I really wasn't a huge fan of just how high the initial world drop rates were. But the key points is that farming was fun, it wasn't forced upon you, and there was varied endgame even at the launch of BL3. Now don't get me wrong, I fully acknowledge and understand that level cap increases have never been popular in the community, and this is an incredibly unpopular opinion that I hold. But that's why I'm kind of illustrating this point, is that I'm one of the freaks that actually did enjoy level cap increases. In 3, I saw them as a nice fresh start, a way to kind of re-experience and re-experiment with guns that I previously played with, and it was a reason to get back to farming because I might have stopped. I might have gotten the drops that I wanted, not really cared to go for the god rolls, and I might have just spent my time mobbing or running through playthroughs again. Because again, there was other endgame content for me to be doing. Not farming was an option. And now we jump to BL4, where almost the entire endgame is kind of focused around farming and killing bosses over and over again, having next to no mobbing content at all unless you just create it yourself, and possibly the single biggest slog for getting through a playthrough ever. Just immediately comparing, there's a lot less to be doing between level cap increases from 3 to 4. We have far less options, and pretty much we just have to be killing bosses anyways and getting better guns because what else is there to do? Where a BL3 level cap increase was reintroducing you to the cycle, a BL4 level cap increase is just gonna kind of fade into what we're already doing anyways. But more than just farming for better versions of guns, sometimes you're farming for very, very specific gun variants that function like nothing else. Variants that warp the entire way that the gun functions so that it can work with a specific build or just even work in general. Some guns are pretty bad without very specific roles, and I don't want to repeat myself from my other video on this topic too much, but farming is a pain in the ass sometimes. I think even more so than the old days of unrerollable anointments in 3, because not only are drop rates across the board just way lower, but we have up to 3 of those gameplay warping parts that we have to farm for on our guns. And some of the best guns in 4 right now are purples, and therefore they don't even have dedicated sources. But farming for this shit is pretty much the only thing that we currently have to do. And you combine that with the pulsating, throbbing thought in the back of my head that there is a level cap increase coming, it's kind of demotivating to actually farm anything. Cause yippee, maybe I get a perfect stellium while farming for something else, or the one-shot order sniper. Or as I mentioned in that other video, I spend an entire day farming for an Atlas tracker TK's wave. I have to do it all again soon. And in the meantime, I don't even really have anything to do with it other than have it and, you know, maybe use it to kill more bosses. There's no gameplay to be done with these items that I'm getting. I'm farming items to use to farm more items so that those items are then worthless in a few weeks to months to however long until the next level cap increase. And endgame wise, there's not really anything else for me to be doing. And I think just the thing that really sucks about it is if we're gonna have level cap increases, at least start us somewhere a bit more reasonable, because dear God does 50 feel so limiting. And this isn't just me, this is a sentiment I've seen all around my community, all around the Borderlands community as a whole, is people making builds or trying to make builds and just seeing that they're just 5 to 10 points away from being able to do something really cool and just not being able to. And it's not like a couple builds here or there, it's like a majority of the Vault Hunters in BL4 feel like they are not meant to be played at level 50 in the endgame. There's so many synergies and shit that we just do not physically have access to right now. And well, of course, that just happens with any sort of low initial level, and I understand that that's something to look forward to. The issue with it in 4 is that there's so many of them. It feels like almost every really cool major synergy between skill trees is completely inaccessible. These trees that we have can easily support a final level cap of around 70 to 80, if not even a little bit higher, while still having a shit ton of build diversity. We easily could have started at 55 or 60, and they still would have had so many possible level caps that they could have given us. But nah, here we are stuck at 50, waiting for all of the guns that pretty much are the end game of 4 to become underleveled so that we can do it all again. Anyways, that's gonna do it for this bitch post. Bye bye!